Hey everyone, Ronan Charizard here. I just wanted to say thank you for the support of this series. I know part 3 was short, but I felt that if I would have included it in part 4, it would have made the video way too long, and it just felt like it needed its own part, because it was just more of a transition than anything, setting up for part 4. Anyway, without further ado, please enjoy the long-awaited part 4. Alright. We pick back up with Ash and Misty crashing into the episode The Los Lapras. In this episode, Ash and Misty meet Tracey as they try to prevent a group of young hooligans from harming an infant Lapras. After thwarting Team Rocket's plans, Ash catches the Lapras and Tracey decides to join the team in hopes of meeting Professor Oak. Ash also talks to Professor Oak, informing him of the problem with them crashing. He also asks Professor Oak if he would be willing to wait for the GS Ball, as Ash wants to challenge the Orange Crew. Oak thinks about it, and he says he's fine with it, but reminds Ash that the Indigo League starts in less than 2 months, so he can't waste time. Ash acknowledges this, and the new team sets off for Ash's first badge. The next episode, Fit to be Tied, everything plays out the same, with Squirtle and Seadra tying, resulting in the Pokemon Wave Ride, where Ash uses Lapras to beat Blastoise, earning him his first badge, the Coral Eye badge. Next is the episode The Crystal Onyx. In this episode, Tracey reveals his Meryl, and mentions that he had gotten it from Professor Ivy a few years ago, and it was his first Pokemon. Then, we head over to the episode Into the Pink. This is the island that is protected by whirlpools, and Ash and everyone gets washed up on. This is where the next big change happens. On this island, when Ash gets attacked by a Rhyhorn, instead of being teleported away by Togepi, he's saved by an old friend. I told you, this wouldn't be the last time we saw it. Butterfree. That's right. I feel this was a missed opportunity in the original anime. Butterfree's girlfriend is literally pink, just like all the Pokemon on this island. Butterfree's shiny form isn't even close to pink, so this just makes sense to me. I mean, they did fly across the sea after all. I think the pink Butterfree in this form is from the island. So after spending some time with Butterfree and clarifying with Officer Jenny that it is his Pokemon, Ash leaves Butterfree's Pokeball with Officer Jenny and says that he may call on it in the future. Then Ash and Butterfree say their goodbyes and part ways once again. For now. Now we enter the events of Naval Maneuvers. In this episode, Ash challenges for his second Orange League badge. The change for this episode is obvious. It's going to be Kingler, normally where Bulbasaur was. But Kingler is just going to do everything the same that Bulbasaur did and do all the same normal functions. The events all still play out the same, with Charizard in terms of it melting the ice lid for him to win the second round. The struggle with Ash getting it to listen, though, is getting to be much harder. Charizard isn't being lazy in this one. It's more like it's kind of depressed. You see, the battle with its clone is still firmly in its mind. It can't think about anything else. It can't believe it lost so easily. It couldn't even make one hit. And Ash hasn't been working with it like he said he would. Charizard spending all of its time in its Pokeball. But after persistence from Ash, it relents, using its flamethrower, and the rest of the episode plays out the same, earning Ash his C Ruby badge. In the next episode, Snack Attack, this is where Ash catches Snorlax, putting his team back to 6. Then we move on to the events of Tracey gets bugged. Tracey catches his Scyther, which is important. Scyther is very competitive, so this gives Ash a new training partner in Tracey, and they do spend some time throughout their journey training, getting ready for each gym and the final battle. Now, the events of this timeline are about to change majorly. Normally, Ash would be at his 3rd gym badge by now, but this time we're going to head into the events of Bound for Trouble. This is where Ash gets separated from Pikachu by a Pidgeot, then later has to save it from a Rhydon. But now, when Snorlax beats the Rhydon with an Ice Punch, Ash throws a Pokeball, catching it. Rhydon gets transferred to Professor Oak. After that will be the events of Pokemon Food Fight. In this episode, we see Ash break Snorlax's Pokeball, and after the ordeal to transport it to the other side of the island to get the Pokeball fixed at the Pokemon Center, Ash decides to call Professor Oak. He transfers his Snorlax to him in exchange for one of his other Pokemon that he has had very little contact with, Muck. Now Ash has a new team of 6, and he moves on to his 3rd gym badge. In this episode, Misty meets her match. Ash meets the 3rd gym leader, Rudy, who is obsessed with Misty and makes Ash take a test to have a gym battle with him. In this challenge, he uses Pikachu, Kingler, Squirtle, and Muck to pass. Ash tries Charizard, but it doesn't listen, and doesn't even really try to do anything. Not even a flamethrower on Ash. This does get Ash's attention, but he doesn't have time for it right now, and he recalls it. But then, this just worsens Charizard's depression. Then, we move on to the actual gym battle. Rudy tells Ash to choose the types of Pokemon for their 3-on-3 battle, and he will match them. Ash normally would use a grass type, but this time he chooses poison, as he has Muck instead of Bulbasaur. The match comes, and Pikachu loses to Electabuzz. Then, Ash sends in Muck. Rudy chooses to use a Vileplume. This does take some time, as it is Muck's first Pokemon battle, but it does manage to beat the Vileplume with a Sludge. Next, the 3rd battle between Squirtle and Starmie. The battle goes the same as in the original, up until Squirtle uses Water Gun to escape the Thunderbolt, causing it to fly off the edge of the ring. In the original, Squirtle learned Hydro Pump to get itself back up in the ring. But I think this would still happen, but before it, triggering its evolution into War Turtle. Then the battle would proceed normally, with War Turtle winning Ash the Spike Shell badge. Next are the events of Pokemon Water War, and Ash's new War Turtle proves it has what it takes to hang and even lead the team of War Turtle. Then we move on to the events of Pokemon Double Trouble, and Ash's 4th badge. In the beginning of this episode, Team Rocket attacks, and Ash tries to use Charizard, but it has no motivation. It just slinks off, and then when Team Rocket makes their move, Charizard does try to intervene, to try and be a hero, to try and raise its self-confidence. But the island's gym leader and her Alakazam step up, killing Charizard's motivation even more. It can't even rely on its own power. Ash sees this, and Misty and Tracey comment on it as well. But Ash doesn't know what to do. He has to prepare for his gym battle, as the gym leader has requested to make it a double battle. Later, at the hot tub, Ash, Misty, and Tracey are discussing things about the gym battle and Charizard. Ash doesn't feel confident, as Charizard has no motivation, and he knows he will have to face the Alakazam. Tracey mentions that a ghost or a bug type would be perfect for this match. Ash thinks it to himself. The next morning, the battle comes, and Luana, the gym leader, sends out Alakazam and Marowak. After a pause that seems like an eternity, Ash sends in his 2 Pokemon. In the regular timeline, Ash would have used Pikachu and Charizard, but since Charizard is still having issues, Ash changed up his whole strategy. Ash sends in Butterfree and Haunter. You see, the previous night, after everyone went to bed, Ash made some calls, and he called Saffron City and spoke with Serena, and asked her to send Haunter. Then he called Officer Jenny and asked her to send over Butterfree. The battle plays out the same, with Luana having the edge over Ash, and Butterfree and Haunter, having never battled together, being at a disadvantage. But after a while, the two managed to get in sync and managed to take down the Alakazam and Marowak, earning Ash the Jade Star Badge. In this next episode, we're moving on to the Mandarin Island Mismatch. In this episode, Ash has a battle with a trainer and his Tauros. Ash has started to gain a chip on his shoulder, winning all of his Orangeling gym badges in one shot. So, when he can't beat this trainer and his Tauros, he sends in Charizard. But it doesn't want to battle until it is attacked by Tauros. Then, Charizard attacks. It beats Tauros, but continues to go on a rampage until stopped by Prima. I know in the games her name is Lorelei, but we're just going to stick with Prima because we're covering the anime on this one. Ash realizes she's an Elite Four member and challenges her to a battle. At first, she declines, but after some consistent pestering from Ash, she accepts, only for him to lose to her. She tells Ash that he has a lot of growing up to do, and that he needs to realize his Pokemon battle because they trust him. Ash tries to say she doesn't know what she's talking about, but Prima counters by saying that he doesn't even know that his Pokemon is depressed, stating that Charizard is mentally not okay, and as his trainer, Ash should have realized it. This quiets Ash, and he leaves to go to the Pokemon Center, thinking all about what Prima had said. The next day, they head out, and on their way to the next episode. A way off day off. Here, Ash tries to spend time with Charizard, while it is just laying around. Ash would just talk to it, and when it was tired of hearing Ash's voice, it would just get up and go and fly away. Ash continues throughout the day until Team Rocket attacks, and Scyther stops them. Charizard sees this, and also helps out. Once Team Rocket is beaten, Charizard has regained a little bit more of its confidence, but still, it isn't itself. Then, in the events of the Stun Spore detour happen, and Charizard almost gets caught in a Stun Spore. Ash jumps in, taking the Stun Spore for Charizard. Charizard sees this, but does nothing. Misty ends up saving the day and catching Poliwag. And then finally, we reach the events of Hello Pomelo and Ash's 5th Orange Gym Challenge. Things are vastly different here. Ash registers for the match at the Pomelo Stadium, but starts to consider his team. Ash calls for Snorlax, but it just ate and won't wake up. And Ash doesn't have Tauros here. He does consider Rhydon, but ultimately decides to go with his current team, Pikachu, Muck, Lapras, Kingler, Wartortle, and Charizard, as they have been the ones traveling with him throughout most of the Orange Islands. Ash knows that it's a risk to use Charizard, but it's a chance he's willing to take if it'll help get through to Charizard. The next day, Ash, Misty, and Tracey head to the gym to face Drake, the undefeated gym leader. The first half of the battle takes place as normal. Pikachu beats Diddle, and instead of Squirtle, Wartortle takes out Onyx. Then, instead of Tauros, Ash sends in Muck to face Gengar. Once Muck gets confused, it is recalled, and Ash sends in Lapras, where the events play out the same, resulting in a double knockout and a field change for the second half of the match. This is where things change drastically for our timeline. Ash leads 5-3, but in the second half, Drake starts with Venusaur. Ash chooses Muck. It does take some time, but it does manage to take down the Venusaur. Next, Drake sends in Electabuzz. Ash chooses to stick with Muck, but it is quickly overpowered by Electabuzz. Ash then sends back in Pikachu, but it hasn't recovered enough, and Electabuzz quickly takes it out as well. Now, Ash has a problem, and he knows it. He has 3 Pokemon left, and all of them are weak against electric-type attacks. But Ash digs in and sends in Wartortle. It lasts longer than Pikachu did, but ultimately loses as well. Ash then sends in Kingler. By this time, Electabuzz is starting to wear down. Even though Kingler takes a bit of damage from the electric attacks, it does manage to take down Electabuzz with a Hyper Beam. Drake then sends in his trump card, Dragonite. With Thunder, it makes quick work of Kingler, leaving Ash with just 1 Pokemon. Ash sends in Charizard. Charizard takes 1 look at Dragonite, and it starts to feel anger. Even though Charizard is looking at Dragonite, all it sees is the Charizard it lost to. This makes it ready to battle. It starts to attack, but it's not obeying any of Ash's commands. Drake quickly notices this and takes advantage, and Dragonite puts it down with a slam very quickly. Charizard struggles to stand up. Drake comments that due to Charizard's lack of obedience, both it and Ash are weak. This causes a flashback to what Mewtwo said, how Charizard's lack of obedience makes it weak. Determined to prove them wrong, Charizard stands back up and continues the battle. But again, it is put down with a slam from Dragonite, this time knocking Charizard out. Alright everyone, that's it for part 4. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on Ash's new team for the Orange Islands? How about Ash's surprise catch with Rhydon? What about Squirtle evolving? And how about, of course, the direction we are heading with Charizard? Let me know the thoughts that you have down in the comments below.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to say thank you for your support. If you like the content that I'm providing, please don't forget to subscribe. And also, don't forget to leave a like, as it really helps out with the YouTube algorithm and helps my content get to a bigger audience to help the channel grow. I will see you in the next video.